Alright everybody, it's Mr. Rosen here. Today I'm going to be giving you a little demonstration of a website or a tool. It's called Pixlr. And there's a couple different versions of Pixlr. I just went to Pixlr.com and what I'm going to show you is the photo editor. The bottom one here, it's a quick and easy graphic design. I think that's for making posters and stuff. But this one here, I want to show you this one. This is sort of like a, I'm going to click it here. It's sort of like a competitor to Photoshop. It's an online image editing software, which is really good for doing simple stuff. You know, if you want the really advanced stuff, Photoshop might be a little bit better tool, but for a free online tool, this is great. And this is going to work for 99% of what you're going to do here. Okay, so if you want, you could go ahead and make an account so you can save all your files and stuff, but I'm not going to do that today. I don't even need it. I'm just going to do a quick demo. And what I'm actually going to do is I am going to, people always joke and they say that I look like Louis Litt from a show called Suits. I don't know about that, but I'm going to try and Photoshop or crop out my face. I use the word Photoshop a lot as a verb, but I'm going to crop out my face and stick it on Louis Litt's body right here. And I'll try and match it up as best I can. I'm going to have to rotate my head and stuff, so I'll show you some of the tools along the way as I do this. Okay, so let's get started here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Open Image, and that's on my desktop right now. And the bottom image I'm going to use is Louis Litt. So he's going to be on the bottom. And I want my face to be on top. So I purposely selected that one first. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to get that second image in here. And what I can do is under Layer right here, it says Add Image as Layer. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to select Mr. Rosen. And clearly it's too big. So I'm going to have to resize this layer. So let's change the size of it. I went under Edit and then Free Transform. And let's see if we can shrink this down. I have to go to a corner to do this. I'm going to hold Shift when I'm stretching this. If I don't hold Shift, then my face might get distorted. It's going to shrink it in proportion. Oh, never mind. It's still shrinking it anyways out of proportion. So let's just see how we do here. Okay, never mind. Don't hold Shift. If you hold Shift, then you can screw it up. So don't hold Shift with Pixlr. Every one of these sites and stuff is a little bit different. So let's apply that transformation. And actually, it needs to be a bit smaller. Let's see. We'll go around there. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, so the way this is set up is it's got two layers over here. So you can turn them off and on like this, so you can sort of see each layer. And they're independent, so if I do an edit on this layer, it's not going to affect the bottom layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom it in, and I'm going to try to cut out my face as best as possible here. And this works a lot better if you have a picture where your background is pretty much static, like this, I'm standing against a wall. It's a lot easier to cut out something from there versus if you had a whole busy background, it'd be very difficult to do it. So there's a bunch of different tools you can do. You could do the lasso tool. Okay, and the lasso, you would basically just go around. Okay, and then you could actually, what you could do is you could select the inverse and then delete the outside. So if I hit delete right now, it deletes everything other than my face. Okay, now that may not be the best tool. So there's different ways we can do this. Okay, so that's the lasso tool. That's for a real quick and easy way. So when you use the lasso, if you circle something and hit delete, that little chunk disappears. So what I had done was I went select inverse, I inverted it, and then it does the outside. Okay. Now they often have something called the magnetic lasso. Let's try that one. And let's just undo this. I'll show you how that thing works. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. The more you can zoom in, the better. It makes it a little bit easier to crop stuff out. And let's see here. There we go. So the magnetic lasso, what that thing usually will do is it actually accounts for little errors that you might make. So even if I screw it up a little bit, oh, that's a bit too much. Let me undo that. Hold on. Just going to clear that. Let me try it again. So the magnetic lasso, what it basically does is it kind of uses like AI and it kind of follows along the path for you. So even if you make a little bit of a mistake, it'll be okay. So If it's a little bit off, it's fine. See, I'm actually off quite a bit right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's still drawing the line pretty good. Oops, this is kind of hard to do with the mouse I'm using right now. If there's a little bit of mistakes, I can fix it later on. It's pretty easy. It's easy if there's too much there, but if you cut off too much, then it becomes a problem. You can't get that back. If I have too much background, it's not a big deal though. So I'm just going along. You can be off a little bit, and that's fine. There we go. Okay, the only thing I messed up was my ear down here a little bit. I'm going to see if I can add the ear back in over here. So I can see right over there I missed a little chunk. So hopefully you don't make the same mistake I did. And all I'm going to do is if you hold, let's see which button it's going to be. No. Well, it's okay. I'll fix that up afterwards. What I'll do is I'll copy it again. Sometimes you can add to that selection. That's okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to invert the selection. Invert it. And then hit delete. And it should be just my face that's there. Perfect. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just move my face a little bit. And I'm going to erase those little bottom spots that don't look very good. So most of my face looks fine, other than the ear. I have to fix that. That's okay. I can show you a tool I can fix that with. And what I'm going to do now is just use the eraser. So the eraser tool, let's see, is this one right here. Okay, and I should be able to just sort of delete it off here. And right now, there's different brushes that they have selected here. So right now it's a 40 pixel brush, 40 points. Okay, there's a softness to it. It's like, you know, do you want to do it super hard? If you do it super hard, then it'll just directly take it off a lot quicker. Like it won't be that fuzziness that happens. So you can do it like that. And then you just kind of smooth out any rough spots. Takes a very steady hand to do this. I'm just going along. Anything that's sticking out, I'm going to take off. Okay, and I'm going to have to come back and fix that right there. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Everything else is not too bad. Maybe there's a little spot in the hair up here. You can see some of the wall color there. All right, so that's not too bad. Now, let's go ahead and fix up those two spots. And I'm going to show you another tool I can use for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of move my head just a bit so it's a bit easier to see that spot. And I actually cut out a chunk of my ear by accident. And what I could do is there's a tool called the clone stamp tool. And the clone stamp tool, the way that this one works is you're basically going to take, it's like a copy paste tool almost. It's going to take from one part of the image and then paste it somewhere else. So, for example, let's see here. So here's the source, and then we start painting, and it kind of copies and pastes your ear there. Okay, let's try this again here. I'm going to have to change the brush here a bit. Make it smaller and make it harder for sure. Okay, so you pick your source, where it's going to come from. So I'm going to select right there, okay? And then I'm going to start painting, and you see what it's doing is basically it copies and pastes from where that bullseye is, okay? So let me just show you a different example. Let's say I want to duplicate my eye. I'll show you what this tool does. So I can click my eye right here. If I start painting over here, it actually starts drawing another eye. So it copies and pastes from that source, okay? So that's what the clone stamp tool does. So it's going to help if you got to fill stuff in, okay? Now sometimes it makes little mistakes, like, you know, it doesn't look super great here. So I need to actually get some of that red from my ear. It's going to actually make this a bit smaller when I do it. And I need more of this color right here. And it's making more of a mess. Let's try it again here. Sometimes this stuff is trial and error. Let's try from down here maybe. That looks a bit better. Not too bad. Okay, and then down here I've got this part of my chin I cut out. Same thing, so I'm going to set a source. Let's grab some of my stubble from right here and just start copying it over like that. So you could use that for a lot of things. Like if I had a, let's say if I have any like pimples or anything like that, you can sort of erase them. Yeah, it's really good. So even like right here, it looks like there's something here. Looks like a little dot. I don't know if you can see it right there on the left side. So what I can do is I can use the clone stamp to fix that. So I can click my face and erase that if I wanted. It's pretty good. There is another tool you can use too, and it's called the healing brush. Healing brush will do the same thing as well. But that one there is a little bit easier to use. If it's something simple like a little pimple or something like that, you just click it and it'll go away. You know, it's pretty magic what these things can do. And that's what they do like for Instagram and stuff like that, right? They can use that to clean up a lot of things that, you know, unwanted blemishes. Very, very simple to do with Photoshop or with Pixlr. Okay, so after all of that, it looks like my face is decently cut out. I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe the bottom could have been a little bit better, but overall it's not too bad. And the more time you take to do this, the better. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself over here. And this blue line, don't worry about that. That's just the outline of my image. That won't actually show up. And I'm going to get my face right on top. And it's clearly that my face is too big right now. And I have to rotate it obviously as well. So there's a bunch of different ways we can do this. We can change the opacity of this layer, I hope. Yeah. So the transparency, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, all I did was I right click the layer. I'm going to set the transparency for now, let's say around 50%. And I just want to do that so that I can sort of line it up a little bit better. I'm going to try and light up my eyes and everything. So let's go to Edit, Free Transform. And I lost my transparency doing that. Oh well, let's see how well we can get this to work. Oops. I need to get, one sec here. No, I don't want to distort. I just want to resize it. Okay, I don't have to actually do the free transform yet. Okay, so just resize it. What I need to do is rotate it though. So let's just try going free transform and then rotate. Like that. And I'm going to have to stretch my head out a little bit, but the eyes are pretty much set up right. Okay, so I just hit enter, and it applied the rotation, and I'm just going to bring my transparency back up. It's pretty close already here. I got to stretch it out a little bit though. So let's stretch it, and then I'm going to move it again. Try and cover up his ear as best I can. So that's not too bad. Okay, it looks like my neck is covering up his shirt a bit, so I do have to erase a bit more. So let's go and make sure you're on the correct layer when you do your edits here. And I'm going to get my eraser. And I'm going to zoom in. And the one thing, I don't have a premium copy of Pixlr, so this ad keeps popping up here. Okay, and I'm just going to erase right where this collar is to try and make it look like I'm actually wearing this shirt properly here. And again, just take your time doing this. Don't rush it. Oops, I went too far there. Okay, the history here, this allows you to go back. You can undo things. So that's not too bad, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. So I just photoshopped myself right there into Louis Litt. My skin is a little bit lighter than his, obviously, based off the picture. So there are things I can do to try and adjust it. I can try and change my skin tone. That would be easier. Let's see how well I can do that. So you make sure you're on the correct layer. And then we're going to go to Adjustment. And I'm going to go to Color Balance. So try that first. He looks like he has a little bit more red in his skin than me. Let's see, is it actually? Yeah, okay. So it's a little bit more red than me. And it looks like it's a bit more darker too. So let's see what the difference is. There to there. It's a bit better. I may have to change the brightness as well. Maybe a bit darker to match his. Maybe more contrast. These are the things you got to kind of play with. There's no perfect way of doing this. That's not too bad. Not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so I did a lot of things in this video here. So again, what I did was I imported 2 images. I went in I went to layer, add images layer. Once I had my layer in there, I used the magnetic lasso to cut out my face. Okay, the magnetic lasso is a little bit easier because it sort of helps you to find the boundaries. Okay, and then once I did that, I did a few other things. I had to use the clone stamp to copy and paste part of my face. I used the heel brush to erase some of the blemishes I had. And then I also used the eraser tool to sort of cut out some of my neckline and stuff like that. If you have to do any transformations at all, like stretches and rotations, you go to Edit and use Free Transform, a little bit easier to use that. And there's other tools as well too. Like there's Paintbrush, you can draw, you can do bucket drops, so you can fill an area if you want, rectangle selections and stuff like that. So over here is your zoom. This is where all your layers are, and this is your history. So it's a really, really powerful tool. It's does almost everything you can imagine that Photoshop has. I come from the world of Photoshop, so I'm more used to Photoshop, but this does almost everything that I could want. And it's free, which is really, really great. So what I could do right now is I'm happy with my image. I can go ahead and I can try and download it. Okay, I can export it as a PNG. You can also flatten it. Okay, if you flatten your image, what that does is it gets rid of the layers. So it just becomes one solid image. So if you flatten it, then it's done. That's it. Your picture is done. And you can save it. You can export it. Let's go export as a PNG. Let's try that. So lit roson.png, and let's see what it looks like on my desktop. There it is. So it's a PNG, and I can put that into any documents that I need or whatever I want to do. I can print it out even. Okay? So lots of things I showed in this video. I hope you found it useful, and that's how you can use Pixlr to crop out your face and put it on somebody else's body. And you can have some fun doing things like that.